Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and today we are back with the TBM-930 and we are heading from Laredo, Texas down into Mexico. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future updates and future guides that will be coming down the road. Link to Patreon can be found in the description below. If you guys are interested in a detailed guide breaking down how to fly the TBM-930, consider joining me on Patreon. Levels tier 2 and above, as I said in the beginning, have access to all of my guides. Here is a sample of the TBM-930 guide breaking down every single switch, button, etc. that is inside the aircraft. Walks you through everything from cold and dark state at startup to cold and dark state at shutdown. Everything that you need is contained within the guide to complete the flight plan that is included with it. It also includes instructions on how to install the Working Titles G3000 modification, as well as the Mixmug's TBM-930 Improvement Mod. Okay, getting started with our flight today. So let's see what we got going on today. We've made our flight plan through SimBrief. As I said, we are coming out of Laredo International and heading over to San Francisco Javier in Alvaro, Mexico. Hope I said that right. And we are going to be cruising up at 29,000 feet today. Let's see here. We've got a total fuel load of 1,263 pounds, and we can be expecting a cargo load of 1,150 pounds for total payload. Now, to be completely honest, the payload I don't particularly worried about, but you know, it's neither here nor there. It all depends on what you're looking for in your flight. We're departing from runway 14 based on the SimBrief flight plan, flying direct to Laredo, jumping onto the J21. And let's see here, taking that to Sierra or Charlie Victor Mike and heading over to the Julia 150 or 15 and heading TAM direct. All right, so no SIDS and no stars today. Cool. And we're expecting an arrival on runway 13, but we'll see what the winds are like when we actually get there. So let us continue and get in the aircraft. We'll get her started up, fueled and loaded, and then enter the flight plan and get on out of here. I also want to give a big shout out to one of my subscribers, Crispy. Thank you very much for the TBM-930 livery that you have made for me, as well as all the others. These were not solicited, guys. It was just out of the kindness of his heart that he wanted to help out in the channel. I thought that was really cool. They were a surprise, and I absolutely love it. Thank you very much for all your hard work. It really means a lot. I love the TBM-930 livery, and I look forward to seeing the others. So again, big shout out to Crispy. Thank you very much. All right, so jumping into the cockpit, let's go ahead and get things started here. For the time being, I'm going to remove the yokes. Let's close the door. And let's sing about getting this little lady started up. Let's make sure she's locked. Green indicates locked. Good to go there. Let's step upstairs for a minute. Make sure everything is off and secure for engine start. Crash bars down. Batteries off. Generators are off. Starter is set to the off position. Ignition should be off. Auxiliary boost pumps are off. Fuel selection should be set to manual. Autopilot and trim systems are off. Emergency locator transmitter is armed. Oxygen is off as well. Stepping downstairs, doing the forward check here. We want to make sure the air conditioning is off for the engine start. All anti-ice and inertial separators are off. Parking brake is set. Landing gear handle locked and down. Hot airflow should be at the floorboard for engine start. Pressurization should be set to off. Manual override is disconnected and secured. Fullest tank selected. We should be evenly balanced, although we still need to fuel the aircraft. We'll be doing that next. Throttles are set to the idle position. Flaps are retracted, and alternate static air sources pushed in and closed. All circuit breakers are secured. And let's make sure, let's see here if I remember. Do I still have it? Yes, we do. Let's make sure the back door is also locked and secured, although it doesn't look like, there we go. There, back door is now locked. All right. Now let's go ahead and take a look at fueling the aircraft for our flight today. We're going to do that through the menu. And we said 1,263 pounds, so quite a bit of fuel that we need to get on board. Oh, nope, I was looking at the payload. Fuel's fine. Our payload's fine. 1263, 1272. I'll take the extra the extra pounds there. Again, payload, it's totally up to you guys if you guys choose to add your payload or not. It really doesn't affect much, but we'll go ahead and add it. It's supposed to be 1,150 pounds. That actually sounds really heavy for this flight. There it is, right on the money though. We got it. All right. And center of gravity was still good. All right, so we have our pre-flight set. Aircraft's fueled, and all passengers and luggage are boarded. Let's go ahead and continue on with the engine start process. We're going to come upstairs. We're going to bring the crash bar up, turn the battery on, and turn the generator on. Come down, do a couple more tests here before we actually go through the engine start process. We're going to turn on our MFD. And mostly for the landing gear, we're going to do a lights test. Okay, and then we're going to do a check down. You're looking for 3 flashing green lights indicating the gear is truly down and secured. Looking good. All right. Everything else looks fine. We could review any CAS messages. Obviously, these messages are all indicating to the fact that the pressurization is off and the engine is off, so that's all to be expected. We can set our barometric pressure real quick, simulating that we've contacted ATIS. Looks like we have 299er today on the altimeter. So we have that locked in. Let's go ahead and continue upstairs with the engine start. So we're going to make sure the ignition goes to the on position. Auxiliary boost pumps go to the on position. And we're going to take that nav light and turn it on, as well as the pulse light can come on, indicating that the aircraft is getting ready for engine start. Now, you don't always have to do the pulse light. I think that's just a preference thing for me. The strobe light, obviously, we leave off until we are ready for takeoff. But let's go ahead and go to the engine starter switch, and we're going to do a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi on the ignition switch. Step down, monitor our MFD. On the NG, you're looking for 13%. Once we get to 13%, we're just about there. We're going to move our throttle forward to the low idle position, so just 1 notch forward. Clear that master caution for now. Then we're going to be monitoring this gauge right here for 53%. Once we get to 53%, we'll move into high idle and then over the gate into flight idle. There's 50, there's 52, there's 53. All right, so now high idle, and then holding left click, just give it a quick right click, and it moves it over the gate into flight idle. And then I always like to take my physical throttle. Oh, you know, I know what it is. Hang on a second. Sorry about that, guys. That was my... If you have your propeller pitch bound, it will also move that. But what I'm not getting a response on is my actual throttle, so we got to figure that out too. You know what? We are getting a response, and I imagine this has to do with the latest improvement mod. And I will have a link to the mod also down in the description, because it's actually sort of... it's on a GitHub site at the moment because of... you know, obviously everything going on overseas. Mixed Mugs is from overseas in the Ukrainian area, so, you know, obviously he hasn't been able to put a lot of time into it, and his safety is more important. There is a community member that has sort of taken charge in trying to help out. So there's a GitHub link down in the description. Make sure you guys check that out if you want the latest version of the improvement mod. Also, always be sure to remove the old version first. Don't just paste over the existing one. You want to remove it and start with a fresh copy, okay? All right, let's continue on with the startup now that the engine is running. So with the engine running, we're going to come back over here. Ignition goes to auto. Auxiliary boost pump goes to auto. Let's hope we didn't just kill the engine. So my throttle animation isn't working, but the actual throttle is responding. So is what I was getting at a minute ago. So we're good. Come on, back up there. And fuel tank selection should go to the auto position. Autopilot and trim systems now go to the on position. And yes, believe it or not, at engine startup, according to the Real World Pilot's Operational Handbook for the TBM-930, oxygen is turned on. Stepping on downstairs here, you can set your air conditioning as desired. We don't need any anti-ice or the inertial separator as of yet. The inertial separator will come on shortly before we go to taxi. Pressurization, we want on max diff or auto. Max diff is going to pressurize the aircraft the fastest, but it's going to be the most uncomfortable for you and your passengers. So as much as possible, you want to keep it in the auto setting. Set your hot airflow as desired. Everything else for the moment. Flaps will remain up until we are literally taking the runway. The flaps sit so low to the ground that you don't want to kick up any debris that might be on the ground and throw it at the flap surfaces. So we leave the flaps retracted until we're ready for takeoff. Flight directors can also come on at this point. We already have our barometric pressure set, so at this point the aircraft looks good and we are ready to enter our flight plan. So let's get that knocked out and we'll get out of here. Okay, so as we discussed earlier, we have a pretty simple flight plan today. We're going to go to MFD, we're going to go to flight plan, add origin, and we are at Kilo Lima Romeo Delta. Throw that in there. And we're going to add our en route waypoint. We're going direct to Lima Romeo Delta. Just throw that in there like so. And figure out where we are. So we have one that's 4.7 miles, one that's 4,800 miles, and one that's 4,700 miles. So in this particular situation, and given that they're in Germany and Spain, you're probably better with going South Central USA. And from here, we're going to be jumping on the J21. So to add our airway, we're going to select LRD, and we're going to hit load airway. You can see the entry point is already Lima Romeo Delta, and we're going to go ahead and hit airway. There's our J21. An exit point is going to be Charlie Victor Mike. And we can just sort these A to Z. Take our scroll wheel here. There it is. Got it. Hit load airway, and we're in there. Now let's go ahead and move on down from Sierra Victor Mike. Why do I keep wanting? I keep wanting to call it Sierra, and I don't know why. Charlie Victor Mike. We're going to go onto another airway, and we're going to be jumping onto the Uniform Juliet 15, and there it is, UJ15, and we are exiting here at TAM, Tango Alpha Mike. And we'll just give it a second to load. There it goes. Let's bring that down, drop that in there, hit load airway. And from TAM, we are flying direct to our destination. So we're just going to add our destination in here. And that's going to be Mike, Tango, Mike. And hit enter. And that is it. That is all we need today. Very simple. We can put our departure runway if we want, but we don't have any kind of SID or star, so I'm not going to worry about that too much today. Keep things nice and simple. Speed bugs. We're going to check our weight and determine what our rotation speeds are going to look like today. I always hit escape, and I never mean to. I hope that didn't just kill my throttle. Every time I hit escape in some of these aircraft, every time I try to pause out, it terminates the engine. So we're looking at 7,000 pounds today, so we're actually pretty heavy. Probably one of the heavier flights that I've done in the aircraft, at least. And now I'm going to move on to my guide. Give me just a moment here. It looks like I accidentally closed it like a dork. And in my guide, there is a chart that will help us determine what our proper rotation speed should be for today. Okay, so we're actually going to be using the default speeds. So we have best rate, best speed, or best angle, excuse me, and best speed, best rate. And we have our approach speed. So we're heavy enough that we are going to be using 90 knots as our rotation speed today. So we're going to go back to home. Let's see if there's anything we've missed here. So we've got our flight plan entered. We've got our speed bugs entered. We can go ahead and switch the CDI here over to the FMS for our flight plan. See your pressurization set. Engines are started. Flight plan is entered. We'll enter our descent information once we're at our cruise level. Going to 29,000 feet today. We are clear to navigate, so we are going to climb straight up. Today. We're going to go all the way up to 29,000. We don't have any restrictions from this departure in this area, so we are just clear to fly and climb. So I'm going to go ahead and set that. Let's see here. Got to be a faster way to do this, right? There we go. Still takes a minute, right? Tell you what, we'll set it to 20,000 for now, and then we'll do the rest later. And let's see, we also need our departing runway, so let's find that information. We're going to be departing from runway 14. Now you can use Navigraph charts directly from the aircraft. I prefer to use the third-party application. I just find it easier to use. I've got a bunch of monitors and things like that, so it makes it easy to sort of set it up in a way that's comfortable for me. Alright, so let's see here. Taxi information, look at the airport layout. I guarantee Navigraph Simlink is probably stopped. It was. So runway 14, so we got a final runway heading of 142 degrees. So let's go ahead and set that in on our heading bug. Oop, not too far. Alright. Got our heading bug locked in there. parking space set. Alright, we are ready for taxi, guys, so give me just a minute, we'll get out of here. Alright, so we are now ready for taxi, so we're going to come upstairs once again here. And we're going to turn our taxi light on. Verifying the overhead panel still all correct before we get rolling. One last quick check through. Make sure we did everything right. I'm going to double check my barometric pressure that it hasn't changed. Everything still looks good. Standby is set. Air conditioning set. Let's go ahead and turn our pitot and stall heaters on, as well as the inertial separator. We want that on before takeoff or before taxi. So for those of you who don't know, what the inertial separator does is any kind of foreign debris. Now this could be ice, this could be something on the ground, it could be anything that could possibly get you can come outside for a second. There's the intake right there. And so what you're doing is you're preventing, there's a flap that closes that prevents any foreign debris from getting sucked into the intake and then thrown into the engine. Now, once you get up and airborne and you're on clear skies like this, like relatively quickly, 3,000-4,000 feet, we'll be able to turn the inertial separator off. And the reason why we turn the inertial separator off is because the inertial separator, as you'll see here, get a master caution, actually reduces the maximum engine torque that is available. Now, when you turn the separator off, you're going to want to watch your engine torque because it's going to increase by about 10%. It's actually pretty impressive, the level at which it impacts the aircraft's performance. But safety first. So, some quick double checking controls. Very good. You know what? There we go. We actually got it. And let's get taxiing out. So we're going to taxi out to the right here. Slowly add some power here. Got a helicopter starting up over here. Not sure what he's doing, so we're just going to go around him. I mean, I'm sure what he's doing, he's taxiing, but you know, it's like, come on, man, I'm here first. You know, it's overkill. You know, you don't step in front of overkill. I'm just kidding. That sounded really crappy. That's really not how I am. All right, and looks like we're taxiing out to the right. It's going to sort of be a long taxi, honestly. We have come up here to the right. We need to cross 2 runways and then get back on the taxiway, and then we are actually taking off from a perpendicular runway. So it's going to take us a second to get on over there. Let me make sure that actually matches up, because this would not be the first time that has not. Oh, hello. Current winds are 130. No, that's correct. Absolutely. So 14 is our departing runway. Sorry, I couldn't feel the aircraft moving. That's one thing I wish. I would love force feedback in the rudder pedals. That's where I wish we could get some force feedback, because I think it would be much easier to sort of poke around the cockpit, do other things while you're taxiing, because you'd be able to feel the movement. At least I hope you would be able to feel the movement in the wheel. We are going to be using flight level change today, so we can go ahead and set our initial speed. And our initial speed is going to be... Let's start rolling that up. We're going to be looking for 124 knots on the climb out. Alright, so here we go. Oh, strobe lights. Strobe lights and landing lights. Strobe lights and landing lights. Let's just do a nice slow taxi for a second. I'm probably still going to wind up in the dirt. That's what I do. Hey, we're still on par here. How about that? Alright, and let's turn on to our runway. There it is. Nice, easy entry. Alright, and like I said, we're going to be looking for 90 knots in the rotation today. We've got plenty of weight today, so... But shortly after takeoff, if we want, we'll be able to engage the autopilot. We have everything all set for our takeoff speed. I'm using flight level change, so it's just a matter, let's go ahead and enter nav mode. That way it's ready to go. You can see the flight directors already lining up. So rock and roll, my friends. Let's set that takeoff torque almost to maximum power here. And our beautiful lady comes to life. There's passing through 60 knots. 70. 80. Do we have 80? We have 80. 90. Going for 90. Looking for 90. Looking for 90. There's 90. And we are airborne. How about that? Nice, easy rotation. Let's just stay with the flight directors. Whoa, girl. Gear coming up. There we go. Come on, honey. A little sensitive on the controls today. There we go. Easy peasy. There we go. Getting plenty of speed. So flight directors are going to keep telling us to climb. Add a little bit of left trim in there just to counter that engine torque. There we go, nice and stable. This is a good time. We're going to turn on the yaw damper and turn on the autopilot. And now she's going to come back right. Looking good. And we've definitely reached our speed. We can bring the flaps up. We'll leave the inertial separator on for a little bit longer. Like I said, probably clearing about 3,000 to 4,000. Alright, so what we're getting here is we're running a little high on the torque, so all we need to do is pull the throttle back just a little bit. Do about 80% of max is what I normally climb out about. That'd be perfect, but close to. And again, the reason for that is also, actually, you know, we're clear skies. We can go ahead and do it now. We're a little low, but let's go ahead and do it. If we shut the inertial separator off, you're going to see this RPM start to rise. So that's 82, 83, and it will continue to climb when we turn the initial separator off. So you always, and I'm not touching my throttle. Notice the RPM isn't changing or anything like that, but this is just strictly from turning off the inertial separator. 87, so you want to kind of watch it. So we're going to pull the power back just a little bit, get back down to about that 80% range. That's 86, 85. Let's keep bringing it back. Again, I like to climb about 80% of max. Come on, girl, slow down. All right, there we go. 79, that's fine. We're still clearly maintaining our climb rate, 124 knots, 10 degrees climb. Got a nice solid climb. We don't need anything too crazy. And let's see here, flaps are retracted. Fuel tanks, let's do a quick check of the overhead panel, make sure we didn't miss anything. Auto selection on the fuel tanks, everything else looks great. Oxygen's on. We're not through 10,000 feet yet, so we're going to leave the landing lights on. Other than that, short and sweet, guys. Nice, easy flight in the TBM. Alright, so we are reaching our cruise altitude here. We're just starting to level out. I normally cruise right around 70% of max. I cruise a little fast. And now let's go ahead and take a look at setting up our VNav so we can get a top of descent information. Now, something I like to do first, I go to map settings, map detail. I like to turn it down. I don't like a whole bunch of stuff. It just gets a little too cluttered for me. Let's see here. What do we got here? What I'm going to do now is go back to the home page. We're going to go to flight plan again. And the only thing that we're going to need is the touchdown zone elevation today, because again, we're not using a sit or star, so we don't have any restrictions or anything like that we have to worry about according to the charts. So I'm going to check out the touchdown zone elevation. We are expected to come in on runway 13 if memory serves. Double check that. Let's see here. Yep, runway 13. So I'm just looking at the Navigraph charts for a second, seeing what the touchdown zone elevation is for 13. Let me go to the approach plate, actually. Well, see. Well, at TAM. At TAM, we have to be at 1,800 feet, but that's our only restriction. And we do have an ILS today, so we can use that as well. So let's go ahead and actually go back a little bit. We're going to go to the procedures. We're going to do the approach, VOR. We're going to do ILS 13. And we're going to do 131. TAM is our transition. Let's go ahead and load that in. And we don't want to activate it. Don't need to do that. We're going to go to our flight plan here. Oh, no, don't do that. All right. So this bit me on the previous flight plan that I did. We're going to have to take a lot of manual control here because I do not want to re-enter it. Actually, we've got time, I guess. Why do you guys do this? Alright, so flight plan options, delete flight plan, hit OK. Alright, let the games begin. We're going to move this real fast here. Add origin. We took off from KLRD. We're going to hit enter, and we're going to do destination. Mike, Tango, Mike. Alright, and we're going to start going back to our route. We went direct to LRD. So let's throw that in there. Boom. And top one. And from LRD, we are jumping on an airway. Load airway. And that is the J21. And we are exiting at... What was it? Where are we? I lost my place. CVM. That's what I'm looking for. Charlie Victor Mike. Drop that in. Hit load airway. There we go. That should get us back on track here. And then what we'll do is we'll have to activate the correct leg here. Oh, it looks like it's already active. Good. And then from CBM, we were jumping on the Uniform Juliet 15. So there it is right there. And we are exiting at TAM, if I'm not mistaken. We are indeed. Let's scroll down. Hit TAM. Load airway. And the procedure should already be there, right? Nope, it is not. So let's go into procedures. Go to the approach. Nope, I don't want the VOR. I want the ILS. I really hope it doesn't screw this up again because it's really pissing me off if it does. Hit load and hit home and go to flight plan. Good. All right. Looks like everything's good to go now. No. What? All right. I'm not doing that again. I don't know why it keeps doing this. And let's scroll down here. I need to zoom in. See if we could get a top of descent or not. Actually, oh, you know what? I don't think VNAV is enabled. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. VNAV enabled. There we go. Let's see if it gives it to us. Doesn't look like it. Oh, you know what though? I don't think I put it in. Hang on. Nope, I did not. So let's do 1,800 feet. There we go. And it looks like it did. So let's zoom in a little bit more. That can't be right. Yeah, maybe it didn't. That's too bad. Oh, there it is. Top of descent. Alright, well, we'll hope that that's correct. So, just to stay ahead of things, I think when we get to Charlie Victor Mike, I think I'm going to go ahead and start the descent there. Just to make sure, because we're going to be doing all this manually. Like I said, I had some weird behaviors before when it does that. The flight plan is desynchronized. But that's all right. That's what piloting is all about, and it's what makes the simulators, at the very least, entertaining. It really does. It sort of stresses you out at first, but after a while, it's pretty easy. Wow, we got a pretty 10-knot headwind. That's not too bad. True airspeed, cruising at about 300 knots. Not too bad. All right. So I'll catch you guys when we get closer to that top of descent. All right, my friends. We're just about to our VOR where we were going to start our top of descent. Now, as you guys can see, we have cloud cover. So in this situation, I'm going to go ahead and turn the inertial separator back on. Inside the clouds, you can have debris. You can have garbage, you know, as far as, you know, ice, things like that. Not literal garbage, obviously. But there is debris and stuff that can exist inside the cloud cover, so that's another example of when you would want to turn your initial separator on. Alright, so we're still a few miles away from our top of descent, but like I said, I'm going to take a look at our destination here. Yes, I know. Really bums me out. I don't know why I did that. There's the master caution. Okay. Yeah, see, it even shows our arrival airport at only 4 nautical miles. That's just total from the... Damn. So what we can do, let's check something out here. Well, let's start at the top of descent. Let's start the descent. So I'm going to reduce to about 30% of max power. I'm going to set our altitude down to the 1,800 feet. And we are descending a little early, so you know we have time to set all this up. And again, we're flying into southern Mexico. Thought this would be kind of fun, something different. And let's go ahead and start our descent at about 2,300 feet. I find 2,300 feet is a really good one to sort of start with, get your bearings there. We're going to monitor that descent speed. For any reason start slowing or going too fast, we can reduce the power a little bit more. We're still at 34%, so I'm going to come back just a bit more. There's 32, there's 31, there's 30. There's 28% engine power. We're going to leave it there. And I will see you guys as we get down a bit lower from here. I'm just going to sort of monitor our position. Now, something I'm noticing here is we are not... Our nav mode got turned off. Let's turn that back on. There we go. I imagine that happened when I deleted the flight plan. That makes sense. Luckily, we were on the right course. All right, so I'll catch you guys in just a few. All right, guys. So we are getting close. Got a good altitude going here. Winds are actually looking more favorable for, let's see, were we supposed to be 1-3? Never mind, we are 1-3, all right. All right, so we're probably going to be looking at more of a direct approach here. So not looking too bad. Let's see our distance. We're still about 25 miles away, but we're passing through 5,800 feet. Our descent's looking good. I'm going to go ahead and increase it back down to about 1,000. This is why right here, why you want to have your inertial separator on. This is nasty stuff. Have all kinds of icky friends inside there if you're not ready for it. Temperature's still okay. 3 degrees Celsius. We should probably turn some anti-ice on actually, just in case. But it's not too bad. It's really not. The weather's still clear-ish. Just these clouds are a little on the dense side, but it's all right. So I'm going to be catching you guys as we get closer to the approach. We're just going to do a visual approach, and I'm not going to worry about the ILS. There's no need. Plus, it's more fun to fly the TBM in manually. It really is. So I'll catch you guys in just a couple minutes. Alrighty, let's chat. We are pretty darn close to our destination. There's the airport right up there in front. We're at our 1,800 feet, way ahead of schedule. So that's not too bad at all. And actually, I think this part of where the flight plan was desynchronized, like something isn't right there. This is only a 7.5 mile view. We're only looking at 10 miles out. It shows TAM directly over the runway, and yet wanting us at 1,800 feet. So I'm kind of glad that we ignored that. But we are at 1,800 feet. Our barometric pressure is verified. There we go. Landing lights are on. Anti-ice is on. Inertial separator is on. And let's go ahead and start pulling some power back. Once we drop below 135 knots, we can bring the landing gear down. Whoa, that was me kicking the rudder pedal. Let's go ahead and drop the gear. Gear's coming down. Flaps coming down. So there's takeoff flaps set. I'm going to go ahead and disengage autopilot and yaw damper. We're going to fly her in manually from here. Just sort of staying on the visual. Landing gear's down and secured. We're going to be looking for 85 knots on the approach speed once we're at full flaps. Now we're set to takeoff flaps. I'm going to try to maintain current altitude here. Trimming nose up. Come on. Adding a little power back in. A little bit of rough weather here, man. Get that camera a little bit better for you guys. There we go. Now I can focus on flying the plane here. The TBM-930 does have the ability to use a reverse prop. I don't think we're going to need it. Let's pull that power off just a hair. We're still climbing a little bit, and I don't want to be. There we go. Still want to be descending. Such a cool looking airplane, man. nice and steady. Got a bit of a crosswind, it looks like. Wind's coming from 087 now, 090. About 6 knots. Shouldn't be too bad. Why are you just now showing us 1,800 feet, guys? Come on now. Double checking barometric pressure again. I always check it a few times as we start getting closer. Come on, easy, easy. Starting to get bounced around a little bit. Beautiful region though, isn't this? It's gorgeous. Anywhere you want to go, you got water in any direction. Be a fun place to go walk around. At least by the looks of it, right? Alright, we're going to go ahead and go to full flaps. We're going to start pulling power off and looking for that 85 knots on the approach speed. A little high, so we're going to pitch nose down and wait a little too long. So, throttle's almost to idle. But easy correction in the TBM-930, that's what makes it nice. TBM-930 is such a fun aircraft. It's my favorite plane to this day, still in the simulator. You get the best of both worlds. It's fun to fly manually. It's fun to use the autopilot. You get the nice climb speed and altitude, cruise altitude, you know, that you like with the big airliners. You can go just about anywhere with it. The animations on it are wonderful with the Mixed Mugs modification to it. And the Mixed Mugs mod also does a bit more to it. It also brings the performance numbers closer to real-world specifications. It's a great little airplane all the way around. I really have a good time with this one. This is definitely my favorite of the planes. All right, just maintaining we're a little high.
500.
Nothing to yell at mom about. Easy corrector. Keep getting bounced around a little bit, which isn't helping. Come on, baby girl, get down. Come on. Alright, let's get that nose down. Come on now. Come on now. A little high on the approach because we're having to come down such a steep angle. But just pull it back out and she'll float right out. See if we can stick it right between the keys. We're at 0 throttle. Just letting it float now. Ready for it. There's touchdown. Alright, and we are down, folks. That's it. That's all there is to it. Easy, baby. Easy, baby. Alright, let's come off there. Take the speed ramp here. Let's start bringing those flaps up. Flaps coming up. Let's completely clear the runway here. Start slowing it down for just a quick second. And welcome to Alvaro Obregón, Mexico. We are here to sample your cuisine and enjoy your company. I love Mexican food. Any Latin food. Like I'm Italian by heritage, and you know, I live in a very Latin community in Tucson, Arizona. We have great Hispanic and Mexican restaurants here. Oh man, nothing beats a home-cooked Mexican family meal though. Like, they make the best dinners. I'm talking about, like, you know, the homemade tamales, you know, that are made the traditional way. Oh man, tamales could be the thing that just absolutely sends me to the grave with a smile. I mean, they're wonderful things. They are God's gift to the mouth. I love tamales. Oh man, apparently it's time for lunch. All right, here we are. So we're just gonna park our beautiful plane right about here, and we'll get it towed in later on. So let's set that parking brake. There we go. Clear the master caution for the parking brake. That's totally fine. And let's see what we got to do here. Let's turn our pressurization off. Let's turn the inertial separator off. All of our anti-ice. And we're going to get quite a few master cautions here, right? We're going to come up and we're going to move the throttle over to high idle and then low idle. Let the engine spool down a bit. Come up top, turn the taxi lights off, leave the pulse lights off. And let's see here, ignition. Let's see here, we can now set the ignition to off. Auxiliary boost pumps can go to off. Fuel selection back to manual. Autopilot trim systems off. As long as the engine has had time to spool down for about 30 seconds, we can now terminate the engine, set the throttles to cut off. And I think we are good to go. I did a few of those steps out of order, I'm going to be honest with you guys. That wasn't quite the way that should have been done. But I was upstairs and being lazy. Nav lights off. Crash bar can come down. Open our doors. And ladies and gentlemen, we truly hope you enjoyed our flight today, and thank you for flying for Overkill Simulations. I will absolutely see you guys in the next one. Stay safe and healthy and keep your loved ones close, please.